It seems like every goddamn thing I do seems to seems to be about something controversial. But here it is, Alien Covenant. I know a lot of people are meeting this film with controversy and they haven't enjoyed it, and they think that there's and there are, this is true, that there are a lot more questions that need to be answered after this. People were looking for answers from Prometheus. But in my opinion, I really enjoyed the film. And I just want to go through to you guys exactly why I enjoyed the film. Now, there will be some kind of light spoilers in this video, but I'm not going to go through the entire plot line. So if you want to watch, if you haven't seen the film, if you're debating about seeing the film, then this shouldn't really ruin anything for you. So it's a sequel to Prometheus. So, in 2012 we found out that, humanity and inside the alien universe were created by these engineer-like beings that went to planets and, basically drank this black goo and ended up seeding DNA on most of these planets to try and create a new life form or create like a variant of themselves. So we're met with that in Prometheus. So the whole voyage of Prometheus is going over to one of these planets, LV-232, I think it is, or 223, in order to try and find these beings, these engineers. And what happens is, instead of finding engineers, they find this black goo, and basically it all devolves into just these monstrous mutations, and people die. The engineers, one of them wakes up, tries to go back and initiate an attack on Earth, which was his original destination before this black goo went missing. So we're kind of given a glimpse at this black goo being, the origin, or in some way, it's linked to the xenomorphs that we see in the Alien franchise. And then cue Alien Covenant. So it's set a couple of decades after the events of Prometheus, and it's about, basically a 2,000 person large voyage across the stars to finally colonize a planet. So it's basically the first large-scale colonization mission by human beings, which is something that is pretty exciting, because we are on the cusp of that ourselves with the Mars mission, going over to Mars and trying to colonize that. So the themes of it are pretty cool, that, we don't know what's out there, and that was one of the main things that I liked about this film. Compared to Prometheus, what I will say about Covenant is that it does feel like there are different styles happening throughout the film. Like the first kind of act seems to be about, everyone establishing, the scariness of space, really. Getting that kind of claustrophobic feeling back, that, if something goes wrong on a planet and you bring it back up to space, you are truly fucked. Like, what are you going to do? And then the second act is more about setting the whole kind of monster stage and more of the exposition, which there did need to be more. Apparently there's 14 minutes of director's, cut footage lying around there, so hopefully we see that in the Blu-ray. I would like to see another version. I'm not going to watch Covenant again until I see, until I watch, an extended version of it, because I really want to understand the story more, because like I said, I enjoyed it. And then the third act is just a pure monster movie. The third act's an alien film, and it's something that I've been looking for years. And I think a lot of people have a problem with this, because of the different themes. They have a problem with Covenant because of the different themes that are going on in the film. But I will say this, for the first time in years, AVP and all those terrible films, Resurrection, even Alien 3, they couldn't capture the feeling of scariness, of claustrophobia, of the sense that something bad is going to happen. And it was the first time for years that I've been in a cinema where I've been able to look to my left. I was sitting on the aisle seat, been able to look to my left and look at everybody with their mouths open. They were just laser beamed onto the screen with their eyes. And it was something that I haven't seen that in years. And I think it's something that a franchise just like this, a very classic franchise, one that's deeply entrenched in the film industry, that it's something that this can only deliver. It really is. So for the actual film itself, so the colonization mission, it's they're in space. There's this big, solar flare, whatever. They end up losing one of their crew members, and that kind of shakes the crew. And then somehow Danny McBride's this didn't make a lot of sense too much to me, but Danny McBride's character Tennessee ends up receiving a transmission in space from none other than Elizabeth Shaw from Prometheus, the crew member that has taken David the android to try and go in search of the engineers' homeworld, to try and find out why the engineers wanted humanity dead. Cue film. Basically, this is where the film really starts. So this planet that they end up finding is totally within seconds, within minutes really of them landing on this planet, a few of the crew members fall sick to some of this black goo. and it's the pathogen has been able to work itself into the plant life, and it's basically been like a spore is ejected from a plant in order to try and shoot away some of its genetic material, so it can sporulate and germinate grass and other kind of fertile soils. It's the same thing with this pathogen, that it's been somehow contaminated this entire planet, and everything on this planet is out to kill you if you don't know how to handle it properly. So two of the crewmates, they're infected, and then all hell breaks loose. We run into a familiar character from the previous films, and it's where it kind of gets interesting, because you find out you've got some cool interactions between Walter, the new android, and the old android, David. So there's some cool interactions in both, a physicality kind of interaction, and then also an intellectual conversation. So there's some pretty cool themes that are explored here. It still kind of delves right into the kind of like religious creator kind of theme, and I really like that, because it's something that I myself am interested in, religion versus atheism and things like that. I won't say which stance I am, but I studied a science course, so you can nearly derive that yourself. But it's a very, very interesting kind of, it's an interesting dichotomy that they bring into the film, and I really enjoy the themes that they bring in and just the questions that they ask. Ridley Scott is a master, as we know from Blade Runner, of leaving breadcrumbs for us to follow. And it's the same, with this film, that it does feel like it's several different films existing in one, but as an Alien film, if we're going to look at it as an Alien film, I think it's probably my third favorite. I love Alien, it's my favorite. I love Aliens, it's great. And I think this one, it used to be Alien 3, but I think this one has definitely replaced it as being, a worthy entry into this franchise, because we're beginning to figure out what these creatures actually are and where they come from, and what makes them tick, and how they can be manipulated, and how they are turned into this absolute perfect organism, this perfect killer. And it was very interesting. I thought the film was. Some of the negative feedback it got from some people that I've been seeing around the place is that, yes, there were some questions that were unanswered. There were questions that we wanted to get answered that never were. There were characters that were kind of shunned, or i.e. Killed off, that it didn't make, they were very sudden. There wasn't a lot of exposition, just suddenly they were dead. And some characters that we thought would return are also, confirmed to be dead. So a lot of people have waited for years to find out the conclusion of some people's stories, and it's never happened. So I can see exactly why people are angry at that. What I'll say is I want to wait for the director's cut to see if he can do anything before making a full judgment on this, because I know Ridley Scott always has his own version, and then he has to release the theatrical version, because that's basically what happens with nearly every single one of his films. Like, look at, Kingdom of Heaven and things like that. Look at even Blade Runner. Like, it's the director's cut version of those films, even Alien as well. There's extra footage in Alien of Dallas being on this wall, like basically Dallas and Brett from the first Alien are being turned into eggs in the first one. That was completely cut from the film. So there's a few different scenes that I'm sure have a lot more exposition, that flesh out the universe a little bit more and give us more kind of that will fill in the plot in our heads. So I'm sure that kind of thing is going to be coming. But as a whole, guys, I enjoyed this film. I want to know what you guys think about this. I'm trying not to say a lot about this, as a huge fan of Alien as well. That I have expectations for these films, but my expectations are I want to see the xenomorph. I want to see this thing. I want to see what makes it tick. I want to just see it go and be a fucking killer like it's good at doing. It's in the film. I wanted to see more xenomorph kind of action. But that's fine, because if the next film I want to see, it's apparently called Alien Awakening. If that film can deliver, I'm going to be a very, very happy camper. So, what do you guys think of Covenant? I tried to say as little as I could there, but I think the action scenes are amazing. The scenarios that the characters are put in are interesting, for the most part. The scenery is amazing. The cinematography that Ridley Scott has in this film is just, there's some images that are going to be burned into your brain. They're that good. I'm not going in with unbelievable expectations into this film, and for what I got, I really enjoyed it. It had that sense of suspense. It had that horror movie sense that you got from the first Alien film, which I don't think has been recaptured since. And I think someone like Ridley Scott's the only one that can really bring that kind of atmosphere to the film with the aliens. So yeah, I want to see what happens in the next one. What do you guys think of the film? Have you seen it yet? Will you see it yet? Hopefully I didn't spoil anything on you guys. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like it, remember to comment down below, and remember to subscribe. This is going to be a new type of content. I'm just going to do videos that I want to do, guys, and hopefully you guys enjoy them. If you don't, I mean, that's fair enough. I won't tell anyone to stick around, but there's going to be a new direction. Anyway, I'm really enjoying it so far, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.